A couple years ago at the Seek conference, speaking about Father Mike Schmitz, in one of his talks, he talked about being on a flight and something happened with somebody who was there, and it was like on the way to Seek, and he was talking about staying in his seat and not wanting to get up, and then how much he regretted it when he realized that it was a college student that was having like whatever the issue was, and like that he didn't get up to help, and then he ended up like running into her at the conference a few days later, and he talked about it. He's like shared this story, and in that moment as he was sharing the story, like I was really moved for him as a priest, but also like feeling the pressure that he feels. Right. Mm-hmm. So like, if you want to pray for anybody, pray for the priests who are on YouTube all the time.
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
Like pray for those people who you see, who you're following, who have these big social media followings and whose videos are always being put out there, because there's a lot of pressure, right? And actually, the first time that we met on a Zoom call, I remember like you popped up on the screen and there's the guitars behind you, and I'm like, I know that background.
Yeah,
I've seen Bobby sit in exactly that spot before,
like,
because I've seen his videos on Ascension. That's cool. It's really his house.
That's a set. I knew it.
And it's like, that's really cool. But then I had this thought of like, it's like I know Bobby, but we've never met before. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how people will feel with Father Mike Schmitz too. It's like, I know Father Mike Schmitz, even though I've never met him before. I felt that way the first time I met Bishop Barron, before he was Bishop Barron. I had never. I had.
Oh my gosh, you've met Bishop Barron
a few times. Actually, that was a scary thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like I met him when he did when he was Father Barron, and he did like a scholar in residence thing when he was making the Catholicism series. He came over to the NAC, and he stayed there while he traveled around Europe and made all of his videos. But he would like pop back to the NAC every week or so, right, and give a lecture or something. And so he was really good. Years later, I went out to Mundelein when he was the rector of Mundelein Seminary in Chicago to be there for an ordination, and I got stranded there by Hurricane Sandy. So I was stuck. I couldn't come back to the East Coast because there were no flights. All the airports were closed and everything. And so I just was stuck staying there. And I went to concelebrate at the morning mass. And he said, after mass, he said, "You're Sam, right?" I was like, "Wow." Yeah. And he goes, "I met you at the NAC, didn't I?" How do you know that?
Wow.
I don't remember. Like, I barely remember meeting you at the NAC, and you remember that you met me. He goes, "Well, I know you're doing vocations work now." I was vocation director at the time. He said, "Why don't you stop in my office later? Say like, come by around 10 o'clock because I know you're stuck here and you've got nothing else to do." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And he just gave me an hour in his office. We talked, and it was amazing. Right? Here's this brilliant guy, and he gives you that time. But there was this experience for me going in. Like, I've listened to his talks. I've listened to his daily homilies or to his Sunday homilies and everything. I've seen his presentations. There's a certain way you feel like, all right, I know this guy.
Right.
But you don't. You don't actually know the person. You know what they put out there. But at the same time, there's got to be something personal that you're giving. So you and Jackie sit down in front of that camera to make a video. There's something real about it.
Yeah. No, totally. Like,
you guys are yourselves.
Yeah, and Father Mike's the same way. I can vouch for that. And we do the same thing with celebrities. Like, to the extent we consume so much of their content, we think we know them. Yeah. So like when Robin Williams dies, there's this great like ache of this guy that has brought so much laughter and joy, and I felt like I knew him, is not here anymore. So it is this weird thing, like, to grieve a celebrity as if you knew him.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, you do know parts language, maybe, like part of him.
Yeah.
And we don't know, like, we're not buddies, but there is something like, this person is no longer my life.
Right.
But as you said, too, there's also the responsibility for all Christians, for all clergy, but to be decent. Like, and I mean, as a melancholic, and I can be grumpy in the mornings, I have had to learn to, like, be, like, show up. Like, be joyful.
Just show up, man.
Because Jackie's much better at this than I am. Like, she's just very extroverted, and she can like muscle through a line of 40 girls that all want to talk to her. And I will like moonwalk out of the room and be like, I must disappear.
I'm done now.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I have given my talk.
Yeah, there is that, like, Lord, help me give people my time of day and what's due and what I can give and what's appropriate. And Because there is that, like, I don't want to turn anyone off from the faith, or
Right.
yeah, I don't know. And it's,
Yeah.
we all have our bad days. We all have our moments, and traveling is no fun. So, you know, you're not always in the best of mood when you're you're late, or you're delayed or stuck, or
Right.
but I mean, the devil loves nothing more than to tear down good clergy, good marriages. So absolutely what you said, like, pray for everyone who is involved in ministry, whether that's forward facing digital stuff or just local, because if he can cause scandal and distract or lose souls that way.
Right.
Yeah.